You know that feeling when you hear the rain pounding on the roof, and it's kind of comforting? It was like that at first, just another rainy night. I was home alone, curled up on the couch with my blanket, watching some mindless show on Netflix. The sound of the rain was relaxing, almost like white noise in the background. But then, things took a weird turn. It was around 11 p.m. when the power went out. Everything went dark all at once. No big deal, right? I figured the storm had knocked something out. I grabbed my phone and used the flashlight to navigate through the house. The rain was coming down even harder now, tapping against the windows like it was trying to get in. I checked the fuse box. Nothing wrong there. So I shrugged it off and decided to call it a night. Climbing into bed, I could still hear the rain, but this time, it felt different, louder, almost like it was in the room with me. I pulled the covers tighter, but something about the sound was getting under my skin. Then came the knocking. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but it wasn't. Someone, or something, was knocking on my front door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. It wasn't a pounding, like someone caught in the storm looking for help. No, this was different. Like they knew I was inside and they were just waiting. I lay there, listening. The rain kept coming down, and the knocks continued. I told myself it was probably just some random person caught in the storm, but something inside me screamed not to open the door. I checked the time, 1 a.m. Who would be out here in this storm at that hour? My phone buzzed, and I nearly jumped out of my skin. It was a text from my neighbor across the street, Jen. All it said was, "Are you okay?" Confused, I texted back, "Yeah, why?" A few moments passed, and I got another text. "I saw someone outside your house. They've been standing there for a while." Now my heart was racing. I shot back a quick reply, "What do they look like?" But no answer came. The knocking stopped, but now I was freaking out. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was out there, watching. The rain hadn't let up. It was still hammering against the windows, and the sound of thunder was rolling in the distance. I crept out of bed and made my way to the window by the front door. My hands were shaking as I pulled back the curtain just enough to peek outside. There was no one there, just my empty front yard, drenched in rain. I felt a tiny bit of relief, but it didn't last long. Something wasn't right. I stepped back, and that's when I heard it again. Not the knocking, something worse. It sounded like footsteps inside the house. My stomach dropped. I knew for a fact that every door was locked, and I hadn't heard anything break, but the footsteps were real, slow and deliberate, moving across the hardwood floor of the living room. I froze, trying to convince myself I was just hearing things, but the sound was unmistakable. I grabbed a kitchen knife from the drawer and slowly made my way toward the living room. The rain was still coming down hard, and every step I took seemed to be in sync with the sound of water dripping somewhere. It was pitch dark except for the weak beam of light from my phone. The footsteps stopped just as I reached the living room. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I was standing there, knife in hand, looking around like a maniac, but no one was there. Then, just as I was about to turn back, I saw it. A wet footprint. One single footprint on my floor. I wasn't alone. The next thing I remember was my phone buzzing again. It was Jen. She texted, "He's back." I whipped around expecting to see someone standing right behind me, but there was nothing. That's when I heard the knocking again, this time from the back door. My heart was racing out of control, and the sound of the rain was deafening. Whoever, or whatever, was outside wasn't going to leave. I didn't know what to do. Should I call the cops? But what would I tell them? "Oh, hey, there's some guy knocking on my door in the middle of a storm, but I can't see him." They'd think I was crazy. I stood there, frozen, trying to decide what to do. The knocking kept coming, slow and steady. It felt like the rain was pushing it closer and closer, almost like it was guiding whatever was outside straight to me. And then it stopped completely. The rain, the knocking, everything just went silent. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up with every light on, gripping that kitchen knife, listening for any sound. But the rest of the night, all I heard was the pounding of my own heartbeat. The next morning, I found another wet footprint by the back door. I never saw who or what left it, but I moved out of that house 2 weeks later. And you know what? The rain hasn't felt comforting since.